Welcome everyone, this is Small Town Theater. Here you will find stories and tales from all genres. All stories are original and one of a kind. They are written by R. Morgan. Be sure to stick around, there are many stories to tell. Please like and subscribe.
To the Director of the Department of Defense, Experiment Nevada Sun. The mission started with success. All subjects have arrived in good spirits and maintain the positivity throughout the day. There was no pushback or question of the work that needed to be performed. It was uncertain how their morality would be on their first day. The subjects' wives and family did not question their work. They, like their husbands, seemed dedicated to the work assignment. We will monitor their mental state as the experiment continues. It is imperative to our mission that we collect as much mental data from their families. As expected, Major Green appears to have taken charge of the group. The two captains have taken a like to Major Green. Also, Major Green has told them not to address or be intimidated by their rank. While the two agreed, it appears the other two captains still respond to his command as senior officer. Major Green's wife, Sonia Green, also appears to take charge amongst the other wives. Just as important, she has taken a little to the housing. The two kids appear to be obedient and are not troublemakers. But Major Green and his wife have control over their family. The last note on Major Green. His engineering experience is valuable to building the core. In the little time spent working in the lab, it appears he had a firm grasp of what needs to be done. Before the end of the experiment, the core should be built. Captain Polk performed as expected. He is firmly following all orders and sees Major Green as his officer in command. He appears to take a liking to his co-workers. He is indeed the perfect soldier this nation has produced, completely obedient and no independent thoughts. A perfect subject for the experiment. Captain Polk's wife, Sarah Polk, appears in good mood. However, she has expressed disappointment in the inability of not being able to work with Captain Polk. All that aside, she is okay with the paperwork duties that she will be performing. Also, she appears to get along well with the other wives and families. Last note on Captain Polk. As expected, he is completely dedicated to work needing to be performed. There is little doubt that he will be able to make the generator needed for the core. However, Captain Polk and his wife do appear skeptical of their housing. While they accept the housing, they do appear uncomfortable. Captain Grant has meshed well so far. Like Captain Polk, he looked to Major Green fondly. While Captain Grant isn't as predictable as the others, he has fallen in line and not questioning his orders. It appears so far he has abandoned his usual manner and is keen on his mission. A welcome change and key to the experiment on hand. Captain Grant's wife, Emily, also appears in good mood. She has taken a liking to Sonia Green and appears quite fond of her. She also appears to be quite strict with her daughter. All three Grants appear to love their housing situation. Emily also seems to like the job given to her. Last note on Captain Grant. He appears to be happy with the work given to him. We have given him adequate workspace and appear to have payoff. His work in breaking down cells in organisms will be beneficial. Weaponing his work and injecting it into the core will result in more devastating outcomes to the enemies. In conclusion, Day 1 went as expected. The next 7 days will be important to the mission. Work on the core will begin first thing in the morning. All three men will demonstrate their knowledge to the construction of a new bomb core. I will provide further updates as the days go by. Statement prepared by Dr. Anton Silver, lead scientist at Blue Tidal Research. Day 2. June 10, 5:30 a.m. Undisclosed military installation in Nevada desert. Major Green, Captain Grant, and Captain Polk arrive at base. The three are directed to their workstations after checking in. This early in the morning, there are minimal personnel at the base. Major Green begins work on the core. The core is the case of the new bomb the men are building. This core is different from the others that have been created for other bombs. The metals used are of different properties, Major Green is familiar with the use of each metals. Captain Polk begins work on the generator or motor used in the delivery system. It must be designed to meet the weight specifications of the payload, as well as the speed needed to reach the target. So far, it's considered unrealistic goal to make the delivery system as fast as 400 miles per hour. Captain Polk feels he can create the speed needed it. Captain Grant is formulating a process to install his cell-damaging process into the core. He believes by creating a wide metallic cage within the core, it will cause a chain reaction to disperse the cell reaction. The only setback is the heat created within the core. It may cause a chain reaction before it reaches its destination. Before the three get to work, they grade each other and Jay Ken. Not much words are exchanged to one another as they begin to work. Each one is at their workstation tending to their work plan. After a couple of hours, they decide to take a break and drink some coffee. "How's the core coming along, Green?" Captain Polk asked. "It's a bit challenging, but coming along good. The new materials are a little tricky, but not too complicated." "How about you, Polk?" Green asked. "Well, when you said tricky on your end, same on mine. Trying to determine the weight is what's setting me back. I'm still waiting for them to tell me the max distance and max weight. This is probably one of my most challenging tests." "How are you doing over there, Grant?" Polk said as he sets his coffee. "Same situation as you guys. They have yet to tell me the max temperature within the core. I have created several holding boxes, but without the temperature, each one is useless. Hope they come in and tell us what we need to know," Grant says. "I hope they do, gentlemen. You know the Army, the simplest things are always hard to come by," Grant says. All three chuckle as Green continues. "On a separate note, how are your housing situations? I must say I can't complain about mine. Sonia and the kids love it. Heck, we don't even have that much space in our own home," Major Green says. "I agree, Green. The house they gave us is very roomy." Emily was shocked when we walked in and around the house. "I had no idea the Army had some fancy accommodations," Grant said. "Tell you what, our housing has a lot of space as well. Just that our living quarters are underground," Polk says. "Underground? What in the world? You serious, Polk?" Green says. "Yeah. We found it a little weird ourselves. Sarah doesn't seem to mind though. There is a lot of room, so that makes up for the unusual habitat," Polk says. "That's good, Polk. As long as you and your missus are okay with it," Green says with a smile. "Guess we should get back to work. Look at that, almost 9 o'clock. The girls are almost here for work," Green says. "Hope they enjoy the work," Polk says with a smile. It is 8:30 a.m. Lieutenant Dupree drives off base to pick up the family members of Major Green, Captain Grant, and Captain Polk. Each family waits outside their homes, ready to be escorted to the base. The wives are in good spirits as the three kids seem nervous of their task awaiting them. Lieutenant Dupree arrives back at the base with the families. He tells the wives to wait in the filing room while he takes the kids one door down the hallway. The kids are greeted by Mr. White in a room that resembles a school classroom. After leaving the kids, Lieutenant Dupree returns to the filing room. "Okay, ladies, your task for today is simple. Each one of these folders has a number. Just match the number with that of the filing door. Feel free to take as many breaks as you need. Just make sure the task is done by day's end. I will let you know when it is time for lunch. Thank you, ladies. If you have any questions, simply push the button by the door," Lieutenant Dupree says. The women nodded their heads as they began to work. They remained quiet for a couple of hours as they concentrated on their work. After a while, they looked around. They realized they completed a large portion of what needed to be done. So they decided to take a break. "Well, ladies, this seems like simple work," Sonia Green says. "It sure is, a little too simple if you ask me. Not exactly what I would call challenging," Sarah Polk says. "I'm sure it's not challenging for you, Sarah. You're used to the electrical work," Emily Grant says. "What do you girls do?" Sarah asked. "I am an operator for the phone company back home," Sonia says. How do paperwork for doctor? Emily says. I used to work with my dad fixing radios and other kinds of electronics. That's what got me into doing what I do today, Sarah says. Sounds like interesting work. This must be a big step down from what you usually do, Sonia tells Sarah. I do what's needed of me. John keeps me on my feet and challenges me. When he told me about their mission, it sounded quite interesting, Sarah says. Yeah. When Taylor told me about it, I was stunned. The only downfall is the location. I mean the Nevada desert. Why couldn't it be somewhere with a better view? Sonia says as the others laugh. Well, I'm glad they provided housing for all of us. The houses are exquisite. I had no idea the Army would provide such luxury, Emily says. Oh, I'm sure they don't. I think it's just a mission priority as to why the housing is so great. But we'll take it, Sarah says as the others laugh again. It was now lunchtime. The men joined their families at the mess hall to eat lunch. It was a short lunch break, only 30 minutes were given to eat and talk. Due to the little time given, the families stuck to themselves during the lunchtime. After lunch was over, Lieutenant Dupree escorted the families back to the work area, and the three men went back to their work area. The day passed by quickly for the ladies. They finished their work and took time to get to know each other. Once 3 o'clock rolled around, they were ready to leave. Lieutenant Dupree came to the ladies' work area with the kid. They were ready to leave as well. Lieutenant Dupree drove the families back home off the base. Along the way home, the ladies asked their kids about their day. They simply replied it was okay. They compared get to school and said it was nothing special. As the ladies got home, they cleaned their houses. Sonia and Emily's houses for above ground. While they were gone, dust from the desert had settled on the floor and furniture. Sarah's house was underground. While they didn't collect dust, it did have slight water in the areas of the shelter. After they cleaned up the mess, they began to prepare for dinner. The Army had provided a stocked pantry and an icebox with a wide variety of foods. By the time the cleaning was done and the supper was ready, their husbands were walking through the doors. It was a long, exhausting day for the men. Upon arriving home, they were greeted by their families. No talking at their tables. Talking was preserved for after dinner. The families were grateful that the Army supplied them with an abundance of food. The Green family had gathered around after dinner. Tyler said he had a great day and enjoyed his coworkers. Sonia told Tyler their job was a breeze and also enjoyed the company of the other women. The Green son said that class was okay, but wished they could go outside more. The Grant family got together once they finished dinner. Tom said he was amazed by the expertise that Green and Polk possessed. Emily said the other ladies were a breath of fresh air. Their daughter said the Green boys worked to themselves and that class was rather boring. The Polks had a conversation after their dinner. John spoke highly of Tyler and Tom. He told Sarah that together they will build the most advanced bomb system in the world will ever see. Sarah spoke well of the other ladies. She also brought up a subject they're very discussed, kids. Sarah told John that she felt ready to have kids after seeing the interactions of Sonia and Emily. The three families enjoyed their family time together. For entertainment, they said near the radio that plays music programming that uses. At this radius, however, only one radio station was picked up that they could listen to you. Looks like the Army went cheap on the radios. The one station was a WBC affiliate out of San Diego, California. That night they played an interesting podcast that the families heard. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Coming to you live from the newsroom in San Diego, California, here's Neil Simpson. Thank you for joining us this evening. We have important information to tell you. We have learned today that Soviet forces are lining up along the East Germany border. The Soviets appear to be taking an attack position. In response to this action, the United States is strengthening its numbers alongside the West Germany border. In light of this information, we are advising people here in the United States to prepare for an attack. It is unknown at this time how many nuclear weapons the Soviets possess. But all it takes is one to cause massive destruction. From now until further notice, the west coast of the United States remains on high alert. Stand by for more news. We will continue to update as the situation avails. To all come hear my voice, good night, and God bless us all.
Thank you for listening. Join us next week for another episode of Nevada Sun. Please subscribe, like and follow.